Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya al-mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Alhamdulillah, we continue our discussion on how we are going to develop Islamic psychology as a way forward for the Ummah. We have developed the first book on positive Islamic psychology, and we are using this framework to create a greater movement throughout the Muslim world, hopefully to develop research, understanding, and the development of a holistic ummah that can help lead this 21st century in which we are facing multifaceted challenges that can cause a lot of problems. So inshallah, as we develop this, I'm encouraging especially the millennials and the Z generation, think about how you can help to develop this model, especially if you are in the field of psychology or psychiatry or sociology or human sciences, to help develop doing more research and more understanding, because all of us will have to contribute towards this development. All right, Alhamdulillah, this model is developed by late Professor Mahdi Jenkins, the Muslim convert, who wrote this book, Positive Islamic Psychology. So we are being influenced by three environments, all right? Three environmental sources. First, we are influenced by our physical environment. This physical environment includes our physical environment in terms of diet. If we have nutritious food, our brain development will be okay. Housing, education, all the physical facilities, health, including our genetic makeup. So that is the physical makeup that Allah has ordained upon us. So all this will influence our perception insofar as what we're going to achieve and what we're going to do in this world, and how this will affect our future success, a positive way of life or a negative way of life, which is, all right, which entails our success in this world and also in the hereafter, and our failure in this world and the hereafter. So this physical environment is, we have discussed this in our positive Islamic psychology model. You can study this very deeply. All right. The second thing is a social environment that is both our internal and inter-social environment. So we are living in as a societal, that means our internal nature that Allah has ordained at SEMP level, spiritual, emotional, mental, physical level, that is al-ruh, al-qalb, al-akal, al-jasad. So this intra-social within ourselves, what is our inner speech here? What are our perception developing throughout our life from the day we are born onto this earth and until the day we leave this world? How are we going to shape it in such a way that it is our total past learning history as we live in this world is positive and good and bring us towards joy, peace, happiness, and success. And the third and the most powerful input of these three sources is what we call inner speech. So the inner speech is the most powerful feedback loop. So we have the physical environment, we have the social environment, intra and intersocial. That means we live in a society that strives with corruption, strives with so many other challenges that does not allow you to rise with your potential as a human being. Still, your perception could be negative, but if you can train your inner speech, then you can change your situation. So this is the most important and the most powerful that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has ordained upon Bani Adam, that we are given this ability to transcend our situation. So if you look at the lives of all the great prophets sallallahu alaihi wasallam, all the great imams, all the great saintly persons, you can see that they go through tremendous environmental disadvantages, yet they transcend and they become great people that we today acknowledge as scholars, as teachers, as waliullah, as so many of these great idealism, scientists, and so on. So what is important is for us to understand that this whole perception idea, there's a lot of research needs to be done, because from the perspective of our research, we are not influenced by our brain. Actually, it's the other way around. Our perception actually is influenced by our heart. So our feelings come from our qalb first, all right? and it comes from our roh. And then it affects our emotion. Our emotion is felt throughout this whole thing. Our emotion, our E is felt throughout the whole thing. And then our thoughts naturally affects our akal. So this whole system of feedback loop back to all our aspects of existence will then influence our inner speech. So this is a very important discovery. It is not the brain that controls you. It is actually your heart. So we talk about this heart. What heart is this? That gives you the feeling. This heart is what we call al-qalb, the spiritual light, the spiritual heart that is linked to our physical heart. And there's a lot of studies in terms of the nature of the heart now, neurologically. For example, even the heart, the physical heart, create hormones, atrial hormones, oxytocin, and so on, that actually can override the brain hormone. Like, for example, if at the point when we have stress, cortisol can actually be balanced by the heart. So there is a lot of research now going on. We are moving from the decade of the brain to the decade of the heart. So Muslims must contribute to this, because this is the fundamental idea of the truth that was brought about by our Holy Prophet Muhammad ﷺ and all great teachers before him. All the great prophets brought the same idea. It is the heart that is sick that affects the brain. So if we can understand this FET model, which I only have a tiny glimpse of understanding because I read the ancient texts and I read modern neuroplasticity, neurology, and many of these new brain sciences. I have a glimpse of it, but I cannot go into the detail because we have to create the necessary equipment to then measure this, whether it's PET scan, MRT, functional MRT, or EM wave studies, and whatever, many of the tools. We Muslims must be able to bring back this intrinsic truth. This is the truth that we can develop an Islamic psychology model that when we present to the world, we will not be feeling small, or we're feeling that we are bringing an idea that is out of time, ancient, not smart, and so on. But today, we can prove this wahyu that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has ordained upon and revealed upon His beloved Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the ultimate truth. And from that ultimate truth, we can develop an Islamic psychology model consisting of understanding our whole range of physical environment, understanding the whole range of intra-social and inter-social environment, and understanding the nature of inner speech based on feelings, emotion, and thought, driven by the heart, driven by the intuitive heart, al-qalb, that is linked to your physical heart, because these are the mechanism. Just like your al-akal is linked to your physical brain, your heart, your intuitive spiritual heart is linked to your physical heart, and if you can nurture it and make it grow, you have a wonderful life of joy, peace, happiness, and love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and love for His fellow creatures, and fulfill our role as a true and sincere servant of Allah, realizing that we are created with a purpose and meaning to strive to make ourselves good, to help others to be good, to make this world good, loving, caring, sharing, and so many of the wonderful things that we can give to the world today in the 21st century. And I will discuss what are the challenges against all these things, inshallah, in the subsequent video. Thank you.